What is going on, Mad Hatters, and welcome back to the Madhouse. And it's a little mad. All right, this is not Lorcana. This is Elestrals. I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to see what it was all about. It had this huge Kickstarter. I'd seen some good ads for it. And right now, where I'm deployed, I can't play local, so I just don't have a lot of options to play Lorcana. And so I wanted to give something a try. So I tried Elestrals, and this is my first impression in video, or my first impression video for all of you, so you can kind of see why maybe it's worth a try. Okay, so right off the bat, before we get into it, do I think that you should give it a try? Yes, I do. I 100% do, because it is completely free for you to try it. Clash, thank the god himself, Pavel and Pixelborn has worked with Dan, the creator of Elestrals, and they've created an online client. And the online client is actually pretty nice. Okay, and on the online client, all the cards are free. You get all the cards right off the bat, and that is huge. So you can try the game completely free. Now, with that being said, I have some good feedback, and I have some things that I really disliked about the game and some other stuff, and I have some good. So I'm going to do like a compliment sandwich, okay? And that's kind of what's going to go on here. So before we get there, what is Elestrals? And I'm going to put some gameplay on the back that you guys can kind of watch. But what is Elestrals? So Elestrals came out, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago with a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter did really well, like $1 million+ to get going, and it did great. And now the person who created it, most people know him as A Drive. I guess he was popular in the TCG community at some point, and his name is Dan. He created this game with this idea of he wanted a TCG where people felt like their opinions mattered and a lot of stuff along those lines. So that right there really drew me in immediately to Elestrals because, well, for all my Lorcana followers, we've been playing Lorcana for a minute, and it doesn't feel like we always matter. And I think a lot of us can kind of, feel that sentiment. So that idea from Dan is what pulled me to Elestrals in the first place, besides the online client being the biggest thing. So Elestrals, Dan had this idea to create it, and it's kind of a culmination between Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and Pokemon. And for someone that's only ever played Lorcana, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, okay? I've only ever played Lorcana, so I don't know what the good things are about those individual games, and I don't know what the bad things are about those individual games. So keep that in mind when I talk about some of the things I dislike and the things I do like about the game. So with that, that's kind of the background of Elestrals. So let's talk about what I've enjoyed so far. And right off the bat, the thing that I've already mentioned is there's an online client, okay? That is massive. There's an online client, and it's completely free. The online client is 100% free. You get all the cards that have been released so far on Clash. And and all the cards that have been released so far are the cards that are the most played on the competitive circuit right now. And they plan on getting all of the cards released by the end of 2025. So by the beginning of next year, you should have all the cards. And Pavel's working really hard to do all that. And you can get these artworks. So all the cards are free, and you can kind of just, if you want to spend money, if you want some better looking cards, then you can go and buy cards. You can buy gems that then you can buy alternate artwork on cards. Like, I think these two look really, I think all three of these look really, really cool. Even the original form, I like the artwork on that. The Astrabit, I think looks super good. And then this is kind of some currencies that you can get. And so all these cards are free, 100% free to try. And the client works well. It's been out for a week. Pavel's already pushed one update to fix UI issues. And those have felt really nice. And we have Pavel on the team. I expect the UI to continue to just get better. You all know Pavel. You guys have worked, all my Lorcana fans, or most of you played Pixelborn, you know it's going to be great. Pavel is just way too good at what he does for it to not be phenomenal. And so that the online client being free, the online client working well, it has these like tasks that you can do, as well as bigger achievements that you can do. You can see your games. Things aren't going super great for me, but I'm figuring it out. Okay, we're being patient. Okay, but there's a lot of different things, and I like it. I think it looks nice. So what else? The foundation of Elestrals, I feel, is top tier. I'm gonna bring up the website, and I'll move my face again because this is big. I tweeted about this the other day, but a lot of the community feels the same way on a lot of these things that I'm about to say. And the foundation, or what's behind Elestrals, is 100% transparency and communication. And I love that, because the only interaction I have with TCG so far is Lorcana and Ravensburger, where the best players in the game are finding out after they spend $1,000 on tickets that, hey, you didn't even have to fly to this DLC, you're already qualified for Worlds, right? So like, just random things, or hey, you guys are all gonna get this by watching Worlds. Just kidding, never mind. Or you all, I'm talking a lot about Worlds, right? But there's just so much that things happen, and you get the idea. But with Elestrals, Dan is super forward with a lot of this information. A lot of the things that we want in Lorcana, Elestrals already has. So scrolling down here, there's an actual judge program with like, there's an exam to do it. So you can go to the overview, and it explains there's this thing knocked out, and there's different tiers for judges. So you can test to become whatever tier you want for the judge program. And there's, of course, your basic levels and then more advanced level tier judges. So that is great. You won't have anything like the Melbourne DLC, hopefully, where your judges are legitimate and gone through the process and been vectored to be judges. So that is really cool, and it explains what the judges can do. If we go to something like events, then we can go down here, and this is a big one. It explains what happens for suspending players, okay? And then it explains why you might get a moderate, or why you might get a severe, or what these different unsporting-like conduct ones mean. And that is all here, and plain as day. So unsporting conduct 1 is reserved for less severe instances of unsporting conduct, major penalty, disqualification, so on and so forth. A player tells a joke to their friend where the punchline includes a racial stereotype loudly enough to, and then it even gives examples, it gives reasons, and then it gives a remedy to that. Like, that's amazing. There's no guesswork, okay? There's no guesswork. I love that. They're already doing banned cards that are just doing way too well. So they have banned card lists, but then they also have limited cards, which I think is great. I don't know what semi-limited. Oh, okay, it explains it right there. Casters can only have 2 copies versus 3 copies of it. So that is big. There's just so much going on. There was one more. Oh, right here. 2026 World Championships. Already there. It's already said, it's already announced, and then if you click on it, it shows you how you can qualify for World Championships. There's no guesswork. Points to qualify. So it's based off of a qualifying system. You need to get 250 points to qualify. So Elestrals has local set champs. If you win set champs, you get 20. There you go. Second, you get 10. Maybe, I don't know what you get for winning set champs. I know set champs, they get playmats. I don't know what else. But worst case scenario, if there's no second place playmat, that's still fine, because at least you get 10 points towards qualifying for World Champs. Like that's a pretty big deal. And I think in Lorcana, I would take that over a second place playmat anyways. So store regionals, store opens, online premieres, which is webcam tournaments that will eventually be replaced by Elestrals Clash. You can get points for that. So if you win first in there, you can get 250 points to qualify for Worlds. Like, there's so much information, and I love that. I think that that's huge. I think that is massive. It's all the things that we're asking for in Lorcana that we're just not getting, and I think that's a big deal. So we've got cheap. We've got cheap competitively. We've got that I like the artwork, and I love the foundation that it's built on. The idea of transparency and communication, and how all this information is just there. I'll even bring up one thing in a second, because we'll move into, well, what have I not enjoyed? And we'll kind of just throw some gameplay up while I talk about this. But what have I not enjoyed? The biggest thing for me, and maybe it's because I only came from Lorcana, which is extremely different from most TCGs. This game is not beginner friendly in any stretch of the imagination for my players that have only played Lorcana. Okay, if you've only Lorcana is a strategy game, pure and simple. There's no interacting on your opponent's turn. You have your turn to do your thing, your opponent's turn to think about doing your thing, and that's it. Okay, and there's lots of different ways that you can just interact, and I love that. I love the high skill ceiling that's involved with how you strategize, and that is really big. Meanwhile, Elestrals has ways that you can interact on your opponent's turn. You can stop them from doing something. You can respond to the thing they do on your turn by doing the thing that you want to do, and then they can respond back. So then on here, you see this little chain over here, actually. So I do this thing, they can then chain to do another thing, and then chain to do another thing. And then I just want to play my turn. I just want to play the game. And there's just so many things. And then you have these back rows that you have to worry about. And your spirits, which is your life as well as how you play things. So he has 17 left. I have 14. You have to factor in all of that. Like, well, if I want to use this effect and it's going to cost a spirit, then I can't do this or that. And so this game, not beginner friendly whatsoever. I could take a brand new player in Lorcana and coach them to getting at least a top 8 in set champs after they've only played for a week. I know that I could. I think that Lorcana is extremely beginner friendly, and I think that it also offers a higher enough skill ceiling to get past that point, right? And to continue to get better. But I do think it's beginner friendly. It's the definition of beginner friendly. This is not. Now, if you've played Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, where you've had trap cards and instants and responding on your opponent's turn, and having the multiple phases where like a draw step and a main phase and a rune phase and an end phase where you can do things on all of those phases, maybe it's a little bit more beginner friendly. But for my Lorcana people that have only played Lorcana, my Illumineers, not beginner friendly. And so my biggest complaint is not that it's not beginner friendly, it's that it's advertised as being super beginner friendly. I don't like that part. Next up, I hate the back row, okay? And I don't hate the back row because I'm not used to it. I hate the back row because it is just overpowered. And it's overpowered to the point where it's broken. And it's that card right there is the most broken card ever. Gorgon's Gaze just stops everything. Stops you from being able to attack. It stops your cards from being able to use their effects. It stops just literally everything. And it feels awful to know that you do this thing when you can only play one character per turn, and then they stop everything that you want to do because of one card. It feels bad. Like every deck, the back row is so powerful that every deck that is built on the competitive circuit pretty much starts by adding in the first 12 to 15 cards. The same 12 to 15 cards. Not because they're good, but because they're just broken good. We're talking best deck in format, tier 0, red, blue, have to ban it, or we have to ban Hiram Fortisphere, or not Hiram, well, both, Hiram and Fortisphere immediately, right? Because they're just so good. Bucky, good. We have to ban Bucky. Like, these cards are busted. With that being said, why have they not been addressed? We just talked about how there's ban lists and things like that. The rune system is a big part of the game, and unfortunately these runes make up most of the runes right now. So Dan has said that he accepts and admits that they are broken. They are way too good. They're way too easy to use, and they stop way too much. There's no condition, like, it's not hard to use these overpowered cards, and that's part of what makes them so overpowered, is you can run them in any deck. So he has said it's being addressed. He plans on He's working on newer runes in set 7, 8, and 9 to phase out these super good ones. Gorgon's Gaze, Shield, Poison Arrow, Poison Tipped Arrow, things, Tsunami. I don't think Tsunami's broken, but the other ones, yes. And he has said, I am working on changing that. So that is big. I love that. And he's working on doing it, and he's admitted that they are broken. Dan also plays the game, and he's very good at the game. So that also makes a big impact when he's playtesting stuff. So we've had an issue with Lorcana in the past where they didn't have the best playtesters. Now they have DeCandio, so that's going to help, but they didn't have the best playtesters, so we had decks like Ruby Sapphire that are just consistently best deck in format or top tier 1 since I started playing the game. Decks like Steel Song that are consistently top tier 1 decks over and over and over again. Red Purple tier 1 over and over and over again, and then no way for other decks to come into the format because they're just so good. So the fact that Dan is helping make the cards but also plays on a competitive level is a big deal. Like, that is super helpful. So with that though, what did I start at that's bad? The back row is just busted, and I hate that. It's being addressed though, and I love that. So the good and the bad, right? The web and weave, maybe that's an analogy. So the other thing that I did hate is it goes back to not being beginner friendly, in that when you download Clash, the tutorial is garbage. Like, it's not just bad, it's just garbage. Like, really, 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 really not good. That being said, Pavel is a monster, and Pavel has already made changes to it. Pavel is already working on making it better. Dan has already said, yeah, our tutorial is garbage, and they are working. He's spoken with Pavel on the phone. They're working on making it better and how to do better things. So Pavel's already made some changes to make it better. So that is good. But what are some of the things that really sucked about the tutorial? Sure, there were UI portions of it that were broken, but I'm not going to harp on UI. There's a lot of mixed reviews on Steam right now, and they're talking about UI issues, but it's been out for a week, okay? My issues with the tutorial is they didn't teach me how to use most of the effects in the game. So that just didn't feel good. I think I just won that game. But so that didn't feel good, okay? Like, so this card right here, you Nexus. Nexus is Spirit. If you do, you can change the position of an Elestral. I don't, and it looks like, so it is a counter, which I think means it's an instant. The tutorial never taught me how to Nexus. For my first 30 games, I had no idea how to Nexus. And on Clash, now I understand how you do it, how you use the effect and what it does. You move a spirit from one thing to another thing. On Clash, I still don't understand how to use it. I know what it does, I know how to use it, but I don't know how to use it on Clash. And that is, it's so irritating to me. It infuriates me that the tutorial did not teach me how to use such a pivotal ability like Nexus. And that is a pivotal ability in the game. So that was annoying. There was just a lot that the game didn't teach you. It didn't teach you what these auto and on mean over here. That is a massive deal as well. And where those matter is when you start to understand the game more and you want to increase that skill ceiling, or you want to increase your skill ability, whatever. You want to get better at the game. So because there's just certain things that you're going to have to do. So the tutorial this needs a lot more tutorialing. We made a word. There you go. So it just needs some improvements. That's all. And that was a big bad, though, because it goes back into not being beginner friendly, which is my #1 complaint, followed by the back row just feeling awful. So there's that. Now, finally, the last thing. This isn't that the game is bad, and it's not even that this is bad or good. The pace of the game is different. So we'll call this a medium, somewhere between good and bad. You can only play one character per turn, generally. Without using special abilities, that was my one character per turn that I can do. Now, your characters do have special effects where you can kind of change that. You banish something, it lets you evolve or ascend, as it's called in Elestrals, into another character, which that character can then attack or use its ability and attack. Or like some characters let you search your deck to play other characters, or there's cards that you can discard a card to play this card. And so there are ways to do those things. Okay, so maybe this complaint about pace is, again, going back to not beginner friendly, but the pace for my Lorcana people, when you get into it, is very different. Okay, very, very different. You can no longer just go, oh, I have 7 cards in hand and 9 ink, I'm just gonna play all 5 of them now. Like, you can't do that weird pace. So but let's jump back into some of the good, because yeah, that's mostly my bad. And if you go to the Steam and you look at the reviews, the bad for Elestrals is mostly only about the tutorial being bad and the UI. And again, Pavel's already fixing some of these UI issues, okay? So there you go. The game's been out for a week. I expect UI issues, okay? But what's the good to finish with? There's a high skill ceiling. It's not beginner friendly, which leads to a pretty high skill ceiling. And watching these premier tournaments that happening like every other week, like you can see some of these decisions that players can make. And I think that is really cool. I love that there's a high skill ceiling. That's why I like Steel Song so much. I think Steel Song is a deck with an extremely high skill ceiling, higher than most others, because there's so many decisions from drawing your first 7 to the end of the game. And I love that. I love the skill ceiling in this game and how high it is. And I look for, like, every time I do something new that I can tell was just the right move, it just feels really, really good. And I love that. Like, I really respect that. So that is a big deal. What else do I enjoy? The pace is different, but I could see myself enjoying the gameplay once the back row is adjusted. And like right now, it feels good. The game feels really good when you don't see cards like Gorgon's Gaze. Like the other ones, they're really annoying, but I think that we could do with limiting them maybe to 1 or 2, and it would make the gameplay that much more fun. I was watching the premiere right before this video, and someone was he just kind of lost because his opponent had a poison tipped arrow into a poison tipped arrow, and when you can only play 1 character per turn, he just kept banishing his opponent's character and then attacking him, and that just feels awful. Like, he never got the opportunity to even play the game. He just lost. And the best counter to the back row was a card called Hurricane that banished all of their low cost cards, all of their upside down back row, and that got limited to 1. So now back row is super powerful. And so once the back row is removed, I think I'll enjoy the gameplay a lot more. But right now, I am enjoying the gameplay. I am enjoying the different things that I can do and figure out how to do. We'll kind of conclude on that. But so what's all the good, right? The foundation that is built on all the things that I want to see in a TCG, I am seeing here, and how you communicate with the people. I like the artwork. I like that it is a cheap game to get into. It's free here, and then it's also $50 for a super competitive deck. The bad, it's not beginner friendly, and the back row is broken. Okay, big deals. Good, I love the skill ceiling. I think that is awesome. I do enjoy most parts of the gameplay. So, is it Lorcana? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. They are completely different games in every single way. Do I enjoy it more than Lorcana? I've played over I've probably put in 1,000 hours into Lorcana. I've put in 35 hours into Elestrals. So no, I don't. I think that would be unfair to expect me to say I did. Like, even so, it's just not gonna happen. So, but do I see myself continuing to play it? Definitely. Do I look forward to trying it in person? Yeah, I do. Okay. But there's just a lot of things about Lorcana that I enjoy. I enjoy the different ways that you can play the game by spamming the field. I enjoy the ink process and the skill ceiling that represents. I enjoy the mulligan or the altar where you can pick and choose. I think that the altar is probably the most difficult part of Lorcana overall, and like I love the skill ceiling around the altar. Whereas in here, the altar, the mulligan is you don't get to keep any cards. Like if you don't like your hand, you have to send back all 5, and that just feels bad. And then when you send back all 5 to get another 5, you have to pay life to do it. So if you don't, I hate the luck factor that goes into that. Like that's a lot of RNG that goes into that, whereas the RNG is not as much there in the skill ceiling that the altar represents in Lorcana. So like, and just Lorcana's Disney. Like Lorcana could do 1,000. They could say there's no DLCs this year, and I would still play Lorcana because it's Disney, and I love Disney, and Disney's awesome. So there's that. But those are my thoughts on Elestrals. I don't know if this was organized. I don't know if it's going to be helpful. But again, do I recommend trying it? It's 100% free. You have nothing to lose by trying it and seeing if you do enjoy it. So yeah, do with that as you may. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about the game, like how to download it, or you wanted to ask, I don't know, whatever. Maybe you wanted to download it and then we can play some games or something. Hit me up on the Discord. Hit me up in the comments, whatever it may be. But I hope you all enjoyed the video. Something different, of course. It's not Lorcana, so that is very different. But with all that being said, whether you like it, whether you don't, whether you never try it, and we just continue to love Disney and Lorcana. Remember, nothing else matters more than staying happy and healthy. I'll see you around, all right?